Start with Bianca Odumegu Ojuku's statement on what happened yesterday. That's Kanu's sentence. So she put this out on her X. Someone says they have accused the Yorubas already. We knew it. Some of the most ridiculous years on this earth I heard in the last few days. Some of the most ridiculous. Someone saying things. Even his brother was talking yesterday. We're going to listen to him later. I was saying, oh, it's between Yoruba and Igbo. How? Yoruba people did not arrest you. They didn't put you there. And the president is not, the judge is not sitting there as a Yoruba man. People are just grasping at straws. But let's start with Bianca Odumegu Ojuku's statement on this. Someone says, why should the judge be quoting the book of Matthew? It could be quoting Aristotle. It doesn't matter. He wasn't quoting Matthew for Matthew's sake. He was quoting Matthew because of what's in that verse. And he quoted the verse. And he was trying to make a point about mercy. He could be quoting Shakespeare. It's not about... The thing is, what he's trying... It could quote Quran or Hadith. Or to first just want to benchmark it. And it makes sense for him to use Matthew, by the way, because both he, the judge, and the accused, the convict, are Christians. So it makes sense for him to use that. But it's actually about the text, not about the... he's a Christian at least. He's trying to explain the basis for showing mercy. And so he used that scripture. So it's not about the scripture, it's about the text. Someone says Yoruba had fully declared war against Igbos long time ago. Since you have fully declared war on your ability to have brain. That's why you come here, you have no name, just be talking nonsense. You have declared full war on the possibility of having brain. That has nothing to do with Yoruba versus Christian. For me, it wasn't that here nor there. I'm glad that it's over. I am very glad that it is over. Like, that's just, and I'm also glad that it wasn't just let go because of the pressure. Oh, I read some funny thing yesterday. Not vote for you. I was like, did you vote for nobody last time? We already know that last 3 electoral cycles, the Southeast doesn't have to vote for you to win. 2015, 2019, 2023. We already know that no matter what, you don't need votes from the Southeast to win presidency. That's what the Southeast has shown Nigeria, by the way. Point of correction, Nnamdi Kanu is a Jew from Israel. Thank you. I apologize. I don't know how to hit people. I don't know how to kick people who are already down. Those are all the things I'm saying in the comment section. I'm just going to allow you. I know that you are feeling bad, so it's natural. It's okay. But to be honest, I'm glad that, number one, he was jailed. No, number one, that the case came to a close. Number two, that he was jailed. Like, he has to pay for what he did. And that's the crazy part. 2,000 people. The man said they should go and get 2,000 heads to bury with somebody who died. And then there's a report of somebody said they got 30 heads. And folks from his place are saying it's because they're Yoruba. And I'm like, how about how about fellow Igbos who were killed because of this person's activities? Does that not count for anything? Forget Yoruba for a second. And that's another thing. It's not about this versus this. It's about the situation on its own. Do you think any Igbo person got closure? Some Igbo people got closure last night. Because a lot of people have gone through hell at the hands of, these people. So that's why when people start saying Igbo versus, just like, this is low-level thinking. Like, you can't reduce everything to these versus, especially because there's nothing to even go head to head with, like, what is it? There's nothing to compare Igbo and Yoruba. It's just nonsense, to be honest. Now, Obina, I'm going to read what Bianca said in a second. I'm trying to calm down, because what user is writing in the comment section, I'm trying to find a way to smile over it so I won't have to respond, because he's writing the most ridiculous things, but it is well. You people brought insecurities to Igbo land. With a mind like this, you're going to have another IPOB. This is not a curse. The mind that if you have a critical mass, which I think you do, having this kind of mindset, you're going to destroy your land finally, totally. You're going to have different groups coming up from time to time. And that's why I said in the video we did the other day that it's not about Nnamdi Kanu. All of this. Because you have to also, have a bird's eye view. So you're not just looking at one person and say, oh, Nnamdi. It's not about Nnamdi Kanu at all. Yes, this particular case is about him, but the entire issue is not about Nnamdi Kanu. There'll be somebody else come up. Somebody is going to come up very soon. How many weeks did he spend in prison? That'll be years, Denny. You have someone Epa, Gentle de Yahoo, Angel Makeup. I saw one yesterday because he said President of Biafra. They were saying Jesus' name. I was like, do you know Jesus? You have people like this come up. Why? You must have heard me say this thing before, if you heard me more than once, that there's one of the best movies I think has ever been made. There are many good movies, but one of the best is Inception. One of the things I learned from that movie, which always stay with me, is how a person can plant an idea in another person. And what I see from the South is how a person and a group of people can plant an idea into an entire ethnic group. And I'm not going to lie, it worked. All you need to know, in order to know whether it worked, is see what's happening right now. It worked. They started planting it in the 1940s. And one of the how a person, for instance, could introduce an idea to you to the point where you think the idea is yours. So, for instance, in that movie, in order to get you to believe that idea, they're not just going to say it to you. They're going to make you sleep and put it in your dream. And it becomes a reoccurring thing. It becomes like a recurring dream, you are thinking about it. But this particular idea that they went to plant in someone, they went to the person's gym. Don't ask me how. If you watch the movie, you're going to discover how they did it. It's called Inception. The main protagonist was Leonardo DiCaprio. It was a movie by Chris Nolan. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. If you watch that movie and you don't understand it, don't feel bad. Like, you may have to watch it twice, at least. I don't think anybody could watch it less than 2 times in order to get it, to be honest. Some people have to watch it 3, 4 times. I've not met anybody who watched it once and got it. I remember meeting a lady some years ago. I said to me, I watched the first time and I got it. So I said, really? So that old man at the end, was it dreaming or was he awake? I was like, wait, that old man. So anyway, the point is, it's difficult, but it's interesting. So let me explain what I was saying. In order to plant an idea, they're not just going to suggest it to you. They'll make you sleep. Then they will be in your dream. They have the tools and gadgets to make a person sleep, connect the person to themselves, and then they go into the person's dream, and then they drop an idea there. In some cases, they'll make you sleep. In your dream, they'll not make you sleep again. The craziest one they did in that movie was 3 steps. It was a dream within a dream within a dream. By the time the person woke up to the 3rd level, the person had an idea. They woke him up to the 2nd level. The idea was stronger. They woke him up to the 1st level. He thought he actually knew what it was, like this is something that he really needed to do. By the time he came to reality, he was consumed with a passion, with an obsession to fulfill a desire. And in his mind, it's an original idea, but it wasn't. It was planted deep inside his subconscious. So it's not about suggestion. It was a properly planned and executed project. If you study books about the Civil War, sincerely, you feel bad for people from the Southeast. And it's not so much because people died and it was horrible. But beyond that, it's the lies. Beyond all the death, which of course is unfortunate and terrible, beyond all of those things are the lies that were propagated. Now, if you've been told that repeatedly, I mean, I read here the other day that during the war, in the heat of the moment, when the Nigerian army was advancing on Enugu, they had taken Nsukka, people in Radio Biafra were telling their people that they were already taking Nsukka back. Meanwhile, they had lost it a long time ago. Nigerian army had taken Nsukka, they were getting into Enugu. And folks in Radio Biafra were still telling people in town something differently. The Nigerian officers were so angry, they had to throw 2 artillery shells in the radio station. Not to kill anybody, but in that compound. So that the folks broadcasting could escape, could run out of the studio. Like, these lies are too many. It was so bad that the people in town were like, when they heard the artillery, when they heard the sound, boom, boom, of the explosions, they were like, oh, those are Biafran scientists. They're testing out the experiment. They're testing out their inventions. That was an experiment. That's what they were telling themselves. By the way, what I just said right now, you find it in the book by an Igbo man. The man's name is Nelson Ota. The book is called The Trial of Biafra's Leaders. Now, here's the issue. People have been told different things. Oh, 20 pounds, I will lower it you. Oh, they didn't allow food to come to you. You are marginalized. You are victimized. They've been saying that one since the 1940s, by the way. Zik started this whole thing in the 40s. Put agenda, push it. If you grew up, if you're Yoruba, please understand this. If you grew up in that situation, most likely you're going to grow up thinking that everybody hates you and everybody owes you something. That's why sometimes I have compassion for these people. And that's why that environment creates the perfect condition for the emergence of many Nnamdi Kanus. It's not about him. Before him, there were others. There was Ojukwu. Excuse me. Zik had done his own. Zik did his stuff in the 40s, pushed the agenda narrative to the point where by 48, that become. I heard something yesterday, sincerely. There's a document that actually, where you can find that same thing in 1948. You know what's in that document? They said, any attack on Zik is an attack on Igbos. People said the exact same thing. In fact, you're going to listen to it in one of the recordings we're going to listen to later today. Any attack on Nnamdi Kanu is an attack on Igbo. How? Nnamdi Kanu literally ordered people to kill Igbos. But you can't judge him because any attack on him is an attack on Igbos. It's a very primitive mindset. That is literally documented in West African Pilot, 1948. People are repeating the exact same thing. By the time you go to the war, you now have a slew of propagandists. You had Achebe, whose last book is full of propaganda, by the way, just saying. You had Okonkon Ndem, who was not originally Igbo, but maybe was trying to prove that he could do just like others. You had Uche Chukwumerije. Then you had the Oga, Ojukwu. From that generation, you had Ralph Uwazurike in the 90s. Then you have Nnamdi Kanu, who came up in the 2000s. Simon Ekpa, Gentle the Yahoo, NJ Makeup, and others that will come up. Why? An idea has been planted in the heart of an average Igbo person. That's why they all sound alike. All of them. There are exceptions, but the exceptions actually prove the rule. There are exceptions. There's some people who are not like that, but generally speaking, they think the same way. It's not their fault. It's what propaganda can do. And if you study what happened in Nazi Germany, if you study Nazi Germany and the work of Joseph Goebbels, you understand exactly what happened during Biafra. And the point is that the pain that people feel about Biafra today is not based on what happened, it's based on what they heard. Even if what they heard did not happen, nobody cares. As long as they've heard it, nobody cares. I know the funny thing, the Bible says in Romans, it says faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. I think death can also come by hearing. If you hear nonsense over and over again, death was incipient death, just Mama Wale. And why am I saying all of this thing before we even get into this conversation? Because if the government really wants to sort this thing, it has to go beyond Nnamdi Kanu. And this goes particularly to the leaders of the Southeast, political leaders. Two things they have to do. Either they start a reorientation work amongst themselves. Nigeria cannot do it. The federal government cannot do it. Thank you, Prof. And thank you for the gift, J-Links. The Nigerian government cannot do it. You know, someone was saying, I was reading the document before we started just now. Also, the federal government has to do something. Like, no. That's what we also thought when Goodluck Jonathan had this bright idea about Almajiri in the north. He thought, it was going to change things. So he went to the north, built schools, about 150 of them. Do you know that none of those schools today is being used? None of them is in use right now. And he spent billions of naira on that project. Today, not one school is being used. Why? It is not a solution from the federal government. It has to be organic. Nigeria cannot do anything about Almajiri without northern leaders doing something about Almajiri. It's not about what we think. It's the same thing with the Southeast. All this propaganda-driven lifestyle that people live in the Southeast, nobody can do anything about it except folks from the Southeast. And they have only two options. It's either they have a reorientation project in the Southeast where they can tell themselves the truth and actually get into history and tell themselves what really happened. You know, one of the blessings of being a Yoruba, I have to mention this, one of the blessings of being a Yoruba is that you can see an Ekiti man, right, or Ijesha man, and an Ibadan man sit down and discuss Kiriji War. You can see an Ijebu man and an Ibadan man sit down and discuss Imagbon War. Even have fun over it. Not because we didn't know what happened, but because we know everything that happened. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not, we have an idea of what happened, where you messed up, where my people messed up. We talked about it. So even though it took a while, we eventually healed. And of course, I always say it's one of the people that made that possible was Papa. By the way, his grandson died yesterday. Mr. Shegun Olowo. May so rest in peace, and may God comfort the entire Olowo family. It was very sad news. That's like the eldest of the grandchildren. He passed yesterday. Well, the news came out yesterday. May God give the family the fortitude to bear the loss. Terrible stuff, but it is well. Establishing Egbe Moduduwa in 1945 was one of the major reasons Yoruba people are able to have conversations without having to go back to those days of the intertribal, but intra-ethnic wars that we fought amongst ourselves. That also shows civilization and evolution. If you're a people group that cannot discuss what happened in the past without throwing fits, you have not evolved. We have to tell ourselves the truth. We can't talk about what happened without pandering. You can't think like, you have to force ourselves to think like those who are doing better than us. For instance, China and Japan can talk about the war. South Korea and Japan can talk about the war. And And it was even worse than the Nigerian Civil War in some ways. Maybe not in all, but in some ways. The truth is, before Nigeria can even talk to the Igbo man about the war, the Igbo man must be able to talk about the war, the truth of what really happened. In other words, if I sit you down to talk about what happened, you don't have to keep shouting, "You are bigger," just like the clown in the comment section talking to his parents. That's not how sensible people have conversations. Everything is based on emotions, no facts, no data, nothing. Just, I'm marginalized. You must do something for me because you owe me something. Nobody owes anybody nothing in this country. Or leave us alone. Leave us out of it for now. Folks in the East have to be able to talk about what happened. And then somehow they will fight, they'll get angry, but they'll resolve it. It happens in every culture that wants to develop. The second option, which is the easier option, is for those lawmakers who were asking the president to release Nnamdi Kanu. They should push a bill for secession, a bill for the inclusion of secession clause in the Nigerian constitution. They should do that. So you have two options. You work on reorientation so you can get people to stop believing in Biafra that will never happen. The way they are doing it, they will never get it. Do you know who I am? You cannot jail me. Oh yeah, go and tell the warder now that nobody can. Then you can be jailed. Government is higher than all of us. It's a fact. May God give us wisdom. Throwing tantrums in the courtroom, insulting everybody, insult our law, insult the judge, call him by name because insulting everybody. When you are done, you still you go to jail. That's the truth. So if they continue like this, the same, every generation will go through the same thing. It may take another 5 or 10 generations to keep happening. So it's like they work on reorientation, and it's not the duty of the federal government. It's the duty of their own people, their own leaders. If they have anybody they call leader, they have to do that. Or they actually push for a bill for, I keep using the word, yeah, it's a bill, for a bill so that you can have the clause, the secession clause included in the Nigerian constitution. Interestingly, it was a representative of the Eastern region who moved vehemently against the inclusion of secession clause in 1954. So maybe they can do better for the people, and I can assure you, people will support you. You want to go, they will give you all the support. You need to have this dream fulfilled, because it's either, there are 3 options. You either fulfill this dream, or you stop believing in it and you wake up to reality, or you continue living in this nightmare. So the dream will be a nightmare if it never comes to fulfillment. If you get your secession and you get out, you will be able to fulfill it. It will be a dream that you fulfill. If you don't, you just be in limbo. But it looks to me like people are going to be in a nightmare for a while, because nobody really wants to take responsibility for anything. It's always what Yoruba people are doing. I don't know how sensible people will sit down, some of them with, I have grays, some of them, everything is grey, and they still speak, and you want to puke. No wisdom is Yoruba versus Igbo. How? Can you not sit down and have something called introspection? Am I making mistakes here? Am I doing well here? What can I do better? It's called retrospective in tech. It's something we all do. What do they call that thing? Yeah, we do it every day. Scrum. These are things that you expect people to know, but it is well. Just keep pointing fingers. So again, if you're able, I don't know how to greet you. I would say congratulations to those who understand how this actually means way forward for the Eastern region, right? But I really think that it's either folks intentionally discuss the truth of what happened and bear the brunt of people insulting you. Like, even me, I see Igbo people who are even trying to speak up, they will insult those ones, and it's odd. It's like to not, someone came here a while back and said, are you telling us we should stop believing in what our parents told us. You're literally saying that everything we have believed is a lie. Like, what is important? That you stop believing the lie, or that I'm the one telling you that you have believed a lie? Like, forget about the fact that I'm telling you what you believe is a lie. Doesn't matter if 1,000 people believe it or 1 billion people, it's still a lie. Someone says, what did I study? What did he study? Scrum Master. I've had several lives. In one life, I was in that space. We're doing Scrum. We used to have daily retro. No, we used to have daily stand up. Then we have weekly retros. And that was a life a while back. But we are here now on TikTok. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I hope that people actually take advantage of this. This is actually good for the Southeast. And I'm not this long, trenchy, just respond to somebody who says Yoruba who is celebrating. It's not so much about Yoruba. There's nothing to even. I mean, I'm glad that it happened. 2 reasons I've mentioned earlier in case you're just joining us. Number one, I'm glad it's over. Number two, I'm glad he's also going to jail. Even if it's for 2 days. Why? Because if you don't do anything, if you don't punish him for this, you have set a precedent for everybody. Anybody can just move anyhow. It doesn't have to be. I mean, life imprisonment is a boy. Life is life. Oh, they gave him life. They gave him for some counts. I think count 1, 2, 4, and 6. They gave him 20 years for another count, 5 years for another count. And the man said, because of mercy, they will run concurrently. I was like, what are you talking about? Or a Bruku Tontere. Sorry, I laughed. I'm sure people understand why I'm laughing. Concurrence doesn't matter because the life imprisonment is still there. It's not like it's going to do life, come back and do 20, and then come back and do 5. But the man said he could have given him, a death sentence, but that they commuted it to life. It's because of mercy. But I mean, beyond him, to be honest, beyond him, the ethnic group needs to take advantage of this so that more people do. And look at the people that are rising in the Southeast. Look at them on social media. When they talk, they have guns. They look fierce. They don't care about ideology. They don't care what happens to the people. They want freedom. Well, you want freedom for your people that you could kill, or that you probably kill before the freedom comes. So who is the freedom meant for? It's not about freedom. It's not about the people. It's about an ideology. And ideas don't die. Ideas don't die. You can only repurpose the energy. And I hope the leaders do well for them. But God bless everybody. God bless the Southeast. But now let's get into today's topic. Right, now let's get into today's topic. Thank you very much for being part of the session so far. So that first part was what's the title? It's something to do with Kanu's life sentence, Nnamdi Kanu's life sentence, and the real crisis facing the Southeast. Here's the today's session proper. Nnamdi Kanu, Azikiwe, and the clause that changed everything. But we're going to start by reading the description, then we'll get into the conversation itself. Give me a second, please. All right. Again, I'm reading the description here. The video itself is on Busuri Ori's YouTube channel. We're going to just listen together and then we'll have conversations after this. Once we're done, if you want to come up, you can come up and then we're going to have a conversation much later. The conversation around Nnamdi Kanu's predicament keeps circling the present, but the real story began long before he was born. Nnamdi Azikiwe played a major role in shaping the constitutional structure that locked Nigeria into a single compulsory union. When he fought against the inclusion of a secession clause in 1954, he unknowingly set the stage for the frustration many in the Southeast feel today. That decision has echoed across generations. People who want their own country cannot even test the idea because the law criminalizes any attempt to leave. Instead of endless speeches, the representatives of the region should correct the error and pursue a constitutional amendment that allows a peaceful referendum. If the people want to stay, they stay. If they want to leave, they choose their own path. At the same time, everyone must recognize the historical boundaries of the region so the mistakes of the past are not repeated. Ojukwu tried to annex lands belonging to other ethnic groups during the old Eastern region era. That attempt collapsed then, and it will collapse again. Any future decisions must rest on truth, history, and legal clarity. Here's a video of Nnamdi Kanu, Azikiwe, and the clause that changed everything. While you listen, please power tap and share. If you're on TikTok, kindly power tap. We need to get the likes up. If you're on YouTube, on Facebook, please like and share the live. Thank you very much for being here. Again, this is Nnamdi Kanu, Azikiwe, and the clause that changed everything. Enjoy. Been pampering them far too much. Honestly, it's getting out of hand. Nigeria, let me tell you something. If you're a parent, you will know this. Even if you're not a parent, you understand this from maybe your relationship with your younger siblings. Yorùbá sọ pé wọ́n gba ọmọdé lọ́wọ́ ẹkú ó ní wọ́n jẹ́ kó ń lọ sọ́kìtàn lọ́jẹ̀. If Oromode is the chick, keeps telling you that it wants to go to the dunghill, wants to go and play and stuff, and you keep taking that Oromode from that place. The Oromode does not understand that you're actually the one trying to give it life. The Oromode thinks that you hate it. At a point, you're going to get exasperated to the point where you're going to allow that Oromode to just go and do what they want to do. And if they survive, then that's fine. I think that, and people from the Southeast will not agree with this, and it's okay. If you don't agree, it's fine. Nigeria has not pampered any group. There are only two groups that have been so pampered in Nigeria, the Igbos and the Fulani. They're the most pampered groups in this country. But you see, the Fulani can still take it with the Fulani because they have a structure. They're able to speak because they have a structure of power. They understand power. Let me tell you something. There are very few groups in the world that understand power like the Fulani. Very few groups that understand power, strategy. You can insult them. Oh, they are just roaming the street. You don't understand it. They get it. That's why they're even more dangerous. But now that they started carrying guns, the power has weakened. That's another thing. Well, that's another topic anyway. The point is that in Nigeria, two groups have been more pampered than any other group, is the Igbo and the Fulani. The Igbo more so. You can't really talk about Fulani without remembering the fact that they created a structure that allowed Lugard rule well in Nigeria back in 1914. Their structure was there before 1914. Lugard met them with that structure. He saw what they were doing. That allowed him to also, in a way, defer to them in some instances, which is what they are still benefiting from today. So at least they can look back and have antecedents or have something to justify the pampering. Justify. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying at least their fathers did something. Whether you like it or not, that's story for another day. But their fathers created a structure in Hausa land, and when they this and repurpose it. We're going to try this in the south, in the west, in the east, because they saw it somewhere. Therefore, they have to pay them back by giving them power and stuff like that. In a way, they earned it. But the Igbos, they've not earned it, which is why it's worse. They've been pampered, they've been given stuff, and because Nigeria also has gone from derivation and merit, folks from the southeast do not understand how much Nigeria has given to them. And the day you sit down, sincerely, like I always say, there are so many things that one cannot say in public. But the day you sit down and really study this thing, there's no group that should be as grateful to Nigeria as the Igbos. None. Not one. There's no group that Nigeria has actually. I mean, Nigeria has pampered both Igbo and the Fulani, but Igbo has more reason to be grateful to Nigeria than the Fulani. Why? Because the Fulani earned something because of the relationship with the British. The Igbos got stuff on a platter. Do you know what Igbo was controlling in the 1960s? It was long throats, greed that destroyed everything they had. And what they had was not even theirs. Every single thing. Think about it, for instance. Think about it. 64% of the revenue from agriculture in the eastern region at the time did not come from Igbo land. 64 didn't come from Igbo land. The oil was not in Igbo land. And yet, according to Pensariwa, 95% of positions in the civil service were taken over by the Igbos in the eastern region. But 64% of the revenue did not come from their region. And just about almost 100% of the oil didn't come from their space as well. In other words, it's from the eastern region, but not from Igbo land. And that's why you hear them speak of eastern region today. Not because they love eastern region, but because they understand, at least, that the survival of the Igbo, at least back in Biafra times, actually 100% depended on what was happening in the eastern region. Without the eastern region, the Igbo land would have been dead. So think about it. You have about 90% of the jobs in the civil service. You have been able to extend your tentacles to the Midwest in 63 and also establish yourself there, even though you're a minority. You'll be able to replicate that same thing in the federal government, where you're dominating the civil service through nepotism, to be clear, where you have most of the ambassadors representing Nigeria in different parts of the world. That would have been okay for sane people. But you see, if you have greed, you will want more until you dominate everywhere, and then they lost everything. But the point is, what they lost was not even theirs to begin with. People have to have these conversations. It doesn't mean you hate a group. It's one thing to hate, these Igbo people, yeah, but I don't have time for that. But think about it. Someone says, but you understand Igbo National Herb Oil, right? How many times did I mention this thing? The entire oil. I mean, this is not an insult. There are 3 states in the southeast that produce oil: Abia, Anambra, and Imo State. Right? I'm answering Michelson. The 3 of them, the total output of those 3 states is 2.1% of Nigeria's oil. Like, everything that's coming out of the southeast is 2.1%. And there's conversation about that Imo site, whether it's in Igbo land or not, but that's not even the point. The point is that 3 of those states produce 2.1. Edo State produces 2.3. Lagos State, a lot of people don't believe this, but it's the truth. You can check this thing out. Lagos State produces between 2.3 and 2.7%. Ondo State produces between 3.8 and 4.3, depending on like good day, bad day. So Edo State produces more oil than all of the oil in the southeast. Lagos State produces more than all of them. If you multiply everything they are producing by times 2, if you multiply it by 2, that's when you getting to what Ondo State alone is producing. And we have not talked about the big 4. That's Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa. Those are the big ones. If those ones are talking, even me, I'll just be like, it is well with you, it is well with you. I don't want to talk about oil. Just take your oil. Korea is about over 30% of the oil. But Abia, Anambra, Imo, 2.1. So when people say things like Igbo also have oil, by the way, you don't even need oil to survive, to be honest. Someone says, but Igbos have nothing. No, Igbos have something. Igbos have gas. Igbos have an amazing what's the word now? Reserve. They have gas reserve. Times, but I've heard before that when the time comes to explore, and I think they've started, that there should be resource control so that they can control what they have. There's no state in this country that doesn't have something. Imo State has gas. Enugu has coal. Everyone has something. The kind of conversations we should be having is resource control, state autonomy, state policing. Not is Igbo versus Yoruba. You guys hate me. You don't even count when I'm thinking. I don't think about you in terms of this morning. We'll talk about it. This morning I saw the news. Dawn Commission and Southwest Development Commission (SWDC) just signed a partnership. They'll be working together. That's what I'm interested in. What's my business with Yoruba versus Igbo? That's nonsense. Should be having deeper conversations. Every part of Nigeria has something. The Igbos also have stuff. And you say, oh, they don't have anything, let them go. Number one, you have something, in case you don't know. Number two, you leaving has nothing to do with me. I don't care if you stay or leave. It depends on you. But if you really want to go, don't talk to me. Talk to your representatives. And you know the funny thing? The judge mentioned something similar yesterday. You have a right to self-determination. Everybody has a right to self-determination. But guess what? There's a little word in the 1999 Constitution called indissolubility. It's just one word. Interestingly, that word, or a variant of that word, was introduced into Nigerian lexicon by Zik in 1954. So you hear words like perpetuity, indivisibility, indissolubility. It's the same thing, of the union. Who gave us that word? Zik. He said it. You know what? Let's start there. Let me read something to you. I'm going to read you an interview that he granted in 1975. I hope I find it very quickly. He granted an interview in 1975, and it's a shame because 21 years after that stuff he did in London, he was talking as though he had done something grand. He's the reason, sincerely, jokes aside, he's the reason for what's happening to Nnamdi Kanu today. What he did in 1954 is the reason for Nnamdi Kanu today. You hear him in his own words. Give me a second. Beautiful, I found it. See, I'm Yoruba. My generations are blessed. Not only are my fathers blessed, and my grandfathers, my children, my children's children, their own children and their children's children, our generation to the end of time, all our generations are blessed. And one of the reasons for that is that we have some people to look up to as Yoruba people. Moyi. Moyi. How long you Moyi? I'm going to read from Zik. When the 1954 I'll take that slowly. When the 1954 Constitution Conference started, my good friend Chief Obafemi Awolowo tabled a motion to the effect that in the new constitution, provision should be made that any state which feels like seceding should do so. I was opposed to it and said no, and said that once we have a federation, we are indivisible and perpetual. That was when we began, listen, this is Zik. That was when we began to use that expression, the indivisibility and perpetuity of the federation. And that to secede would amount to treason. And so a debate ensued. The Secretary of State then was Oliver Littleton, later Lord Chandos, and he was very much interested, and that was his first time in saying that the people of African descent were people actually debating at a high level. So a full day was given to Chief Awolowo to make his points. He spoke brilliantly as a lawyer. He made his points why secession should be incorporated in the Constitution. He cited the case of the Soviet Union, which is a federation, and that secession is written there so that any state in the Soviet Union can secede at will. He also cited the case of Western Australia, and eventually he finished his case and was applauded. We adjourned. The next day, I had to reply. I availed myself of the opportunity to, well, demolish the arguments of my friend, and I cited the case of United States, which based its constitution on that of the Swiss Confederation, that is Switzerland. I pointed out a case, I think that of Texas versus White, where Mr. Salmon Chase, the Chief Justice, laid down the principle, it was really an arbiter, that the union was intended to be perpetual and indivisible, and that any attempt to divide the union by secession was treasonable. What's this point here? Zeke is saying that when Awo made his own point about the need for the inclusion of secession, Awo referred everybody to what was happening in the Soviet Union, where you had different ethnicities together forming a nation, and that they wrote in there that you could secede at will. And we saw what happened in the 90s. You could just leave. That was Awo's point in 54. Z comes along and mentions what was happening in Texas versus White. I have that judgment, by the way. Let's not get into that. It's going to take, I don't get out of this topic. Excuse me. I actually have the judgment that it's referring to, and to be honest, there's no reason on earth why that should bother us, why we should even be concerned about what happened between Texas versus White. No, let's not go into the topic. Let's not go into the judgment of Texas versus White. But the point is, Zeke, in his wisdom, saw that what the Chief Justice, Salmon Chase, put out in a case of Texas versus an individual was an idea that all of us as a nation of several ethnicities should follow, even though Texas is one state in the union, and Texas itself, and even the entire union, is essentially one people. And I've mentioned it here. Regardless of what you think America is today, that's not what America was. I mean, by the way, next year, America, since Declaration of Independence, will be 250 years. Next year, 250. In the beginning, even before the 250, 17, when is that? 1779, I think. Even before that date, the identity of the Americans was already cemented. Because America existed before the Declaration of Independence. That only happened because they broke out, fought King George, chased England away, and became a separate, sovereign nation. They already cemented the identity as, I've said this several times, WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That's the identity of America. It's one. Yes, much later other people came in. Yes, much later other people came in. But at the very core of America is that identity. And I've said it here several times. It's 249 years now. America is 249 years this year, July 4, right? In the last 249 years, the Catholics have not ruled America for up to 8 years. I'll say that again. In 249 years, Catholics have not been president for up to 8 years. And for about first 200 years, as a matter of fact, yes, almost first 200 years, there was no Catholic president. Why? Because they were white, Anglo-Saxons, Protestant. Anybody to tell you that America, land of the free, think of the board, all of us are the same. Maybe now, but originally, and by the way, even now they know. Two groups will find it very difficult to be president in America. Number one, females. Number two, Catholics. That's why when people say America democracy, I'm just looking like, it's like they've sold us something, and we're just parroting it. We're not even observing them. JFK was the first Catholic president. He didn't finish his term. He didn't finish his term. Biden, one who just left, that's the second Catholic president, said one term. Both of them put together for 8 years in 249 years. And you think that you should use that as a basis for determining what would happen in the multi-ethnic space. where you have multiple identities, and you don't think that Soviet Union was a better option than Texas. This is not about hindsight is 2020, by the way. This was not a mistake. It was an intentional act. Because this interview I'm reading was granted in 1975, 21 years after the fact. He did it intentionally. And he did it for one reason and one reason alone, for his own ethnicity. That's why anybody that comes around telling me somebody is pan-Nigeria, pan-African, I just assume the person is dumb. Zeke was not pan-Nigerian, he was not pan-African. He was one of the most ethnic, one of the biggest ethnic jingoists Nigeria has ever produced. It was for his group. He wrote it here. The indivisibility and perpetuity of the Federation. Zeke gave us. Let me finish. It was given to Chief Awolowo to make his points. He spoke brilliantly as a lawyer. He made his points why secession should be incorporated in the Constitution. He cited the case of the Soviet Union, which is a federation, and that secession is written there so that any state in the Soviet Union can secede at will. He also cited the case of Western Australia, and eventually he finished his case and was applauded. We adjourned. The next day, I had to reply. I availed myself of the opportunity to, well, demolish the arguments of my friend, and I cited the case of the United States, which bases constitution on that of the Swiss Confederation. And by the way, anybody that's always shouting US, 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 most of the time they'll come from the East. And they say that because many of the first set of guys who went to school went to America. And what they failed to bring back is that where they went is different from where they are returning to. Nigeria, and I'm not even talking about the fact that America is a settlers colony. That's not even the point. I mean, that's another conversation, by the way. But as at the time that we're all talking about, even today, the core, the identity of that core is settled. And if you say it's a lie, please read a bit more and observe a bit more. You understand. Anyway, he decided to bring up Texas. He says, I pointed out a case, I think that of Texas versus White, where Mr. Salmon Chase, the Chief Justice, laid down the principle, it was really an arbiter, that the Union was intended to be perpetual and indivisible, and that any attempt to divide the Union by secession was treasonable. The North, NPC, supported Action Group. The question was then, should we have secession? Emagbo, this is why I said he did not make a mistake. Listen to me. The North, NPC, supported Action Group. The question was then, should we have secession? The colonial office came to our rescue. Whose rescue? All of us, Abi? North, East, West. Okay. You know, the usual principle of Britain, divide and rule. We all laugh. But this time, it was in our favor. Who is the our here? So, the colonial office backed us. Who is us? It says the colonial office came to our rescue. The usual principle of Britain, divide and rule, but this time it was in our favor. So the colonial office backed us. Who are the our, and us? If you think it's Nigeria, you are not seeing it very well. I would say it's NCNC, was seeing that is literally pushing the agenda that the Igbos had at the time. And NCNC, by the way, if you read the book, interestingly, it's a book that most Igbos recommend to everybody. Why we struck by Adewale Ademega. He mentioned in that book that when Ironsi came into power in 1966 January, he pushed NCNC ideas and party policies. And that is why he gave Nigeria a unitary system. Because NCNC pushed that agenda in 1951. When you hear NCNC, after 47, anything NCNC, that's Igbo. Because they turned the party from what it was into an Igbo party. So when he says they came to our rescue, you know, when he says here, it was in our favor, the colonial office backed us, he's talking about his group, his ethnicity. Lord Chandler said that on the surface of the argument before him, it was suicidal to incorporate secession in our constitution. That's why we have section 86 in our constitution, that if any region or state would secede, then it would be an act of treason. And that was what led to this war, because Colonel Ojukwu seceded and so violated the constitution. I got into this because I started with that phrase. You want to break out of Nigeria. Everybody has the right to self-determination and all those things. You have that right. But in 1954, a certain man decided to introduce a phrase that makes sense in the US. He introduced that into our lexicon and gave us those two words, indivisibility and perpetuity. Well, what we have in the Constitution right now is a synonym of those words. Indissolubility. You can't dissolve it. It's indivisible. It's perpetual. You can't dissolve it. It's indissoluble. You can't solve it. You can't dissolve it. So what that means basically is that and introduce the clause, secession clause, that allows for your people to leave. That is what you mean. And this is why the 44 lawmakers who spoke up for Nnamdi Kanu, that is their work. Not playing to the gallery and making all of us feel like they're doing something emotional. President must do something. No, they must do that thing. They must introduce that bill, push it, and get Nigerians and get people in the Southeast to vote, have referendum. And they will choose to stay or to leave. If they choose to stay, then they know that they are the ones who have chosen to stay. If they choose to leave, then we tell them goodbye and God be with you, Kamari Ramo, because there's really nothing like that. The point is, everybody can go their separate ways. But for people to come here every day, I come on live telling me, give us, nobody, a nation is not candy. We can't give you, Moses just said the same thing. Are you okay? What's this? I'm literally just talking and you're still saying the same thing. Please let them leave. How are we going to let them leave? You cannot let them leave. They have to choose to leave. Anybody that said let them leave again, I'm going to mute you or block you because I think it's retarded. Okay. How will you let them leave? What will you do to let them leave? You can't do anything to let anybody leave. He has representatives. And if you think there are no representatives, thank God those of them came out. Thank you very much, Moses. Thank God those 44 of them wrote that letter to the president. We have their names now. So from time to time, we just visit that name and say, gracious, most gracious honorables of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We thank thee, we bless thee, thou art great and wonderful to behold. Please grant thy people this desire as we pray thee. Go to the Senate and House of Reps and push a bill for secession. Nigeria needs thee, or Nigeria needeth thee. No, let me say it very well. Nigeria needeth thee in order to actualize this vision of thine fathers. Thanks be to thee. They have to do it. This is from 1975. Azikiwe talking about why he introduced that word into Nigeria. We are where we are because of your fathers. If you want to leave, you will have to take responsibility. And can you push that bill? Why? What's the incentive? You know what? A person tells you wants to leave. A few months ago, somebody put something on Twitter, Igbos should leave Lagos. Everywhere went up in flames. All their politicians began to speak. You know, even the ones that would be acting as if they didn't see any problems. Bigotry. Oh, bigotry. You said you wanted to leave. And someone is saying, okay, now go. Oh, you're a bigot. You're a trigot. You're a you-got. Everybody is saying their own. That's why you know that if they really want to go, they have to be the ones to push it. And I've said before, if you leave, it's okay for you. If you stay, It doesn't matter to me. Like, whatever you do is fine. The important thing is this thing has to be done so that the Southeast can have peace. It's not about Nigeria, to be honest. It's about the Southeast. And the reason is because that idea is living and active. More people will rise to feel that they'll have this matter complex. We're going to suffer for our people. If Mazi can do it, I can also do it. You will do it and you end in prison, and that will come. So generation after generation, nobody will learn any lesson because there's a vacuum. And that vacuum can either be filled with education, or don't worry about the vacuum. Just get the people out of the country and then you can have your own nation, like Pakistan. But it will be Igbo land, though. It cannot be other people's land. The BBO, they have their own space. As a matter of fact, the BBOs had the first cultural organization in this country in the 1920s, before the Igbos. The Igbos came along in 1936. The BBOs had their own in 1928. So the idea that Ibibio land is part of a land, that one is a joke. The Ikwere had a separate cultural organization in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. They will not be part of it. Ekpenye have spoken up. Ogoni definitely not. Kalabari, all those Ijaw people, they don't have time. Because we know the issue of what used to happen back in the day. And those ones don't have time for anybody. They have to deal with everybody done. All these people, they are not part of this stuff. So you have to now choose, like you can play Lesotho. Play Lesotho. You'll be surrounded by nations, but we'll all be fine and we'll live happily ever after. But you have to do that. If you don't do that, if the Igbos don't push for that bill and talk to the representatives to talk about that thing, you will not like how Nigerians will treat you. Because in the last few weeks, no group has shown hatred for Nigeria from the Igbos. No group has shown more hatred. Igbos don't even like the country. So since you don't like it, just leave. Because I've not seen anybody celebrating invasion of Nigeria. And it's across the ethnicity. Educated though, uneducated though, everybody says the same thing. You are celebrating the fall of the country. You are angry with the country. And you have a right to do so, it's your right. But the best thing is for you to leave so that you can become all that you're. May God bless Nigeria. May God bless the Southeast. And may God bless your also. Another person will come and become millionaire over this nonsense. So who was Ricky became rich now? iPod is a company in the UK. iPod is a company in the UK. The guy cashed out. I like his Fendi. We miss that Fendi. Someone says if they push for that bill, every other region will support them. Everyone is tired of them. Yes. And the Nigerian government has a duty to also restructure this country. That's the job of the Nigerian government. Presidency, legislators, everybody has to do something. This structure cannot hold. It can't. It's not going to work. We've got to change the structure. You have a situation where everything is so centralized. You have this thing where you can't control your resources. If Bayelsa likes, let them drink their oil. It's theirs. When you start exploring gas in the south, in Imo State, let them have 100%. Or maybe you have derivation like what we had in the 1950s and 60s, where you have 50% to the state or region of origin, 30% distributable pool, 20% to the federal government, something like that. But the states should control their resources. These are the conversations we should be having. But we can't have those conversations because we have a terrible structure. And I'm not saying it as somebody who hates the country. Of course, I love Nigeria. But this structure is nonsense. There's no way you have policemen who don't know the city where they're policing. Haba. They don't understand the terrain, but they're the police. How? Thank God for Amotekun. A policeman who doesn't understand the community and is the police. You have a policeman in Kaduna, never lived there. He's from the east. By the way, this was the perfect dream of Iransi, by the way. It's just sad. When we say unitary system in Nigeria, people are always saying, oh, why not just change it? OT won't know everything. We have to intentionally change this structure. Maybe if we have ethno-linguistics, ethnic space like Nigeria, maybe we'll have less clamor for Biafra. Whatever happens, they must have that referendum. If they like, they should have, whether Nigeria restructures or not, there must be a referendum, or there must be an inclusion of secession in our constitution. And let the people exercise that right. If they now decide to stay, but we all know what will happen. We know the outcome. But let them show us. This structure. Maybe if we have ethno-linguistics, ethnic space like Nigeria, maybe we'll have less clamor for Biafra. Whatever happens, they must have that referendum. If they like, they should have, whether Nigeria restructures or not, there must be a referendum, or there must be an inclusion of secession in our constitution. And let the people exercise that right. If they now decide to stay, but we all know what will happen. We know the outcome. But let them show us. We know the outcome. We know. How do we know? History teaches us. We know the outcome. 1968. Ojukwu was waxing lyrical about how they want to break out of Nigeria. They want to have their own country. And I'm speaking because of what I saw in the comment section earlier. So please stay with me. What was that book now? I'm going to read something to you. It's actually quite funny, to be honest. But I think if these young people from the Southeast, if they really know what their fathers were talking about, maybe they will understand how ridiculous this so-called dream is, because it's no longer a dream, it's becoming a nightmare. I'll find that stuff for you. It's from Anthony Nnamdi's speech at Addis Ababa. I've got to find it. You like it, by the way. You will. But you find it ridiculous, I assure you. Oh, beautiful. I found it. It's in a book called Crisis and Conflict. Let me start from here. Even secessionist leaders concede, by the way, let me say it again. This is Anthony Nnamdi, who was the Minister of Information, 12th August 1968. Even secessionist leaders concede that the concept of an Igbo apartheid state, or Igbo-stan from Pakistan, because Pakistan was around that time, Igbo-stan, I'll take that again. Even secessionist leaders concede that the concept of an Igbo apartheid state, or Igbo-stan, is untenable. If the federal government were to concede an independent state embracing only Igbo land, that state would not be viable and the secessionist leaders would not accept it. Consequently, all of the former eastern region, because of the agricultural wealth and empty lands. When you read empty lands, think of real estate, where you can build stuff. Because of the agricultural wealth right, and empty, in quote, lands of the southeastern states. Southeastern states read Akwa Ibom and Cross River. Those are the states, Akwa Ibom and Cross River states make up the southeastern state. Excuse me. May 27, 1967, the eastern region was divided into three: East Central State, Southeastern State, and River State. River State is present-day Rivers and Bayelsa. Southeastern State is present-day Akwa Ibom and Cross River. East Central is Abia, Anambra, Enugu, Imo, and Ebonyi. So it says here, they talk of Biafra embracing all of the former eastern region because of the agricultural wealth and empty lands, in quote, of the southeastern state, Akwa Ibom and Cross River, and the oil of the river state, Rivers and Bayelsa, and because of access to the sea. Those are the only three reasons: agricultural wealth and empty lands from the south, from Akwa Ibom and Cross River, oil from river state, and access to the sea. That's all. It is, however, to be noted that 8 of the 12 states of Nigeria, with 80% of its population, have no seaports. The East Central State is therefore not unique in having no seaport within its boundaries. Secessionist leaders also advance the argument that the so-called Biafra can be sovereign, but have a customs union, common currency, common services, including railways, posts and telecommunications, ports, dual citizenship, and extensive economic relations with Nigeria. This is a special suggestion because A, sovereign countries resulting from the disintegration of a large unit and separating in war have little hope of successfully jointly administering or sustaining a customs union. B, extensive economic relations involve human contact and unhindered travel throughout the territory of Nigeria, and that is precisely what the secessionist leaders say is impossible. C, any central organization endowed with adequate powers, I'll explain, to legislate over and administer common customs tariffs, currencies, establishment and controls of industries, railways, airlines, ports, posts and telecommunications, and so on, begins to have the character of an effective central government. These are the business of a federal government, which the secessionist leaders do not want. What is he saying here? He's saying, on the one hand, they don't want Igbo-stan, like Pakistan. They don't want Igbo-stan, that is just Igbo land. They said no. That's one. Therefore, they talk about Biafra, including all of the former eastern region. Why? For three reasons. Number one, they want land. If you read the book Igbo's 25 years after the war by Joe Igbokwe, he quoted Professor Zemiro, yes, Professor Zemiro, in his analysis of the dearth of agricultural land in Igbo land. There are parts that have land, there are parts of Abakaliki, there are parts, different parts in Igbo land that have land, but most of, again, I say this respectfully, nobody's fighting anybody, I'm not being disrespectful, we're just talking. And hopefully as respectful as I can. There's land. Number one, the land is not as much. That's one. That's why when you read Marjorie Parham in the Listener of 20th October 1960, these are her own words, verbatim, I'm quoting her now. She said, they poured out of the overcrowded forests. It's talking about the particular group, the Igbo, said they poured out of the overcrowded forests. In other words, the point is that the people were more than the land. If you read the 1958 Willings Commission report, it says that the people were too much for the land to support. Again, I'm not saying any of these things. I don't want to open it, but I'm telling you where to find those things. Number one, Marjorie Parham, 20th October, Listener, 20th October 1960, she said they flooded out of the overcrowded forests. 1958 Willings Commission report says the land could not support them. They were more than the land could support. In other words, the land was not as much, it's very densely populated. That's what they're trying to say. It's densely populated. The land is not that much. Of what is available, not everything is arable. Of what is arable, not everything is fertile. Therefore, there is scarcity of land. Therefore, it makes sense to want the agricultural land in Akwa Ibom and Cross River because they have what is not available. There's agricultural land, then there's land to build. That's what those ones are useful for. It's not about the people, it's about what they have. For River State, those ones have oil. And the third one, access to the sea. That's all. And as of 1968, Anthony Nauro is saying, they keep saying they don't have access to the sea. Well, 80% of Nigeria doesn't have access to the sea. That's what they're saying here. Let me read it again. It says here, it is, however, to be noted that 8 of the 12 states of Nigeria with 80% of its population have no ports. The East Central State is therefore not unique in having no seaport within its boundaries. So he's saying that even as of 1968, they had this thing about sea. And he's saying that, listen, 80% of Nigeria's population had no access to that same sea. Then, here's the crazy part. Ojukwu and the rest of his team now have this bright idea. Guess what it was? They wanted to have the same customs union with Nigeria. These are the following things they want to have with Nigeria. There will be a separate sovereign nation, but they want to share the following with Nigeria. Number one, customs. Why? See. Number two, common currency. Why? If you want to know why, just think of what happened to Biafran pound after the war. That's why. They want to come, so they will still be using Nigerian pound, but they'll have their own separate nation. Number three, common services, including railways. We'll be sharing railways, but you have a separate nation. Then they wanted post and telecommunications, and this will be all of these things will be controlled from the center, and that center will be most likely Nigeria. Nigeria has all these advantages because everything is already established in Nigeria. So you want post and telecommunications. Then they want ports to be administered by both of us, and we should share these things. Then the crazy part, they wanted dual citizenship. In other words, hyphenated identity, Biafran Nigerian. You are not Nigerian, but you carry a passport that says Biafran Nigerian. Dual citizenship. But you really want to break out of Nigeria because Nigeria is a zoo. But you want to carry the passport. And then the last one, extensive economic relations with Nigeria. If Nigeria is such a bad place, it's such a zoo, why on earth would you want to have a dual citizenship? Why on earth would you want to have dual citizenship? And if you think this is just about 1968, I promise you, I heard something similar in 2025. Someone saying, "We want Biafra, I want to get out of your country, but I will still be Nigerian." This person is a zoo, according to you. Why on earth would you want to live in a zoo when you have a chance to build an El Dorado in your region? This is why we know that even if they have the referendum today, they will say no. But guess what? Let them have it. Let them vote. If they now choose to stay, they have to understand the fact that at least they are the ones who chose to stay. The crazy part is that every single thing that Ojukwu and his people were fighting for in 67, 68, the argument has not changed, and it's stupid. You hate a country, you want to leave, or you want to use ports and use customs and have the same currency. Currency that you don't have the CBN. Are you the one that has the central bank? The central bank of Nigeria. We want to use our currency. We're no longer in the nation. Use our ports. Have dual citizenship. Like one bishop in major. These are the issues. And as it was in the 60s, so to sit down and really ask themselves, what do we want? And I'll say it again, nobody in the Southeast is being marginalized. None. Oh, you're marginalizing us. Show us the marginalization. Show us. Victimhood is not reality in the Southeast. It's a strategy. And it's a strategy that has nothing to do with the war. It's a strategy that came before Nigeria was even independent. It's a strategy to get something. It's something from Sir Arthur Richards, you know, I had a meeting in 1947 when he said the East for more and more of everything. Contribute the least. The East contributes the least. Kind of rhymes, sure. It's not good rhyme, or it should be most. Even if you don't most, at least contribute enough. Anyway, the East contributes the least, but clamors for more and more. That clamor is where that victimhood comes in. Oh, you are not giving us this. You are not giving us that. Look at us now. Are we? Is it because we are Igbo? All those things are not happening because there's any reality to or truth to what he's saying. It's just that it's a strategy that works. It's a strategy that works, and that's why Zeke used it a lot. He used it a lot. Why am I doing this? Because it's not about Nnamdi Kanu. It's about Nnamdi Kanu. So now let's go to the news of today. And let's start with Bianca Odumegwu. She posted this on her X page. Re-Mazi Nnamdi Kanu sentence on 20th November 2025. I have just returned from Zanzibar, Tanzania, where I have been for the past 5 days on NTAC monitoring exercise to the sad news of the conviction and sentencing of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on terrorism charges. This is not the outcome we anticipated nor prayed for. This is not the outcome we anticipated nor prayed for, but the reality that is now upon us. There comes a time in the history of a people when there is need for calm. I therefore advise Igbo and Nigerians as a whole that such period is now. There is utmost need to exercise restraint in response to this situation. All actions which could be deemed incendiary and which might escalate the situation at home or in diaspora should be curtailed. A word is enough for the wise. The situation requires careful reflection and constructive dialogue involving all Igbo stakeholders, governors, senators, members of the House of Representatives, clergy, traditional rulers, politicians, and business people to engage with government authorities collectively. Beating the drums of fury and saber rattling will only generate diminishing returns, and in the worst case scenario, yet another wasteland. The most effective path toward resolution of this crisis is dialogue. The quest for mutual coexistence of Igbo in Nigeria with justice, equity, and dignity is a commitment which requires our collective resolve, and maintaining peace and order is essential to ensuring the security of all citizens, regardless of tribe or creed. I would like to reassure Igbo, Nigerians, and our foreign partners that there are still prospects of resolving this impasse in a manner that reduces national anxiety and societal trauma. I oblige everyone to remain calm and patient. Over the years, I have continued to engage on these issues with several stakeholders. Now is the time for all of us in Alaibo to put all hands on deck and to have a joint engagement, sincerely involving all the southeastern states to seek a political resolution to this matter. Ambassador Bianca Odumegwu, 21 November 2025. This is not the outcome we anticipated nor prayed for. I understand why the Southeast is the way it is alone. I get it. I get it. I get it. I mean, there's nothing more to say. For my show. Yeah, I've been talking though. I just realized that someone. Okay, thank you very much, Empress. One day. I've been talking. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you learned one or two things. So we've been listening to Nnamdi Kanu, Azikiwe, and the clause that changed everything. And the last bit you listened to just now is why Ojukwu wanted dual citizenship for Biafrans. I'm just going to read some of the comments in the comment section. If you'd like to come up on TikTok, please send your request. I'll read some of the comments and then we'll call it a day. It's a Thursday, so we usually end the session early. We'll be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. So we have the sessions every weekday, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. So we'll be here tomorrow. We're going to start a new series tomorrow. You're going to like it. I'll talk more about that later on. Let's just go through some of the comments we have. If you're on, I think I saw somebody earlier on TikTok who was trying to come up. I'll bring maybe one or two persons up. It's not going to take a lot of time. It's sharp new. Okay, I'm just quickly, let me bring them up now. 1 second. I'll read it and I'll bring people up. YouTube is mostly insults, but here I just found this needle in the haystack of a boo. I want Kanu to be free, but he needs to repent and humble himself. I'm surprised how people don't learn from history. Ojukwu did more than this, and yet it didn't succeed. Also, Igbo parents should stop. Okay, thank you very much for that submission, Ade Abraham. You want him to be free, but he needs to repent and humble himself. That's a tall order. Expecting humility from Nnamdi Kanu is a tall order. But I mean, nothing is impossible. What God cannot do does not exist. So let's see how that pans out. Somebody's insulting his parents. I mean, it'd be like I said, I think YouTube, a lot of people just come on YouTube to curse people. You guys are dumb. Where were we? I'm sorry guys, I'm just trying to look for something sensible. Ferromi Electronics says good job, thank you very much. I think those are the only two things I can read. The other ones are just insulting their parents. Let's go on Facebook and read some comments here. Someone says this was an insult for Igbos, talking about how they think, how they act before thinking. I mean, to be honest, as far as history is concerned, I think that will be true. Again, like I always say, it's not like, 1 second please. It's not like there are no exceptions. There are exceptions, but exceptions actually prove the rule. The rule is that you're supposed to sound a certain way, and so when you find the exceptions, you celebrate them and you acknowledge them. But generally speaking, everybody sounds the same way. I was going through X a couple of days ago, and I saw some very respected persons, from the Southeast. They sound exactly like the clowns that insult us. Apparently, everybody's the same. And for the first time, you're wondering, so what happened to Nnamdi Kanu? Everybody's saying, oh, this is not what we expected. Well, I mean, to each their own. But the issue is this: how about the people who suffered because of his activities in the Southeast? How about those people? Do they have any right to closure? Or must everything revolve around your Lord and Messiah? And there's something I caught from the statement by Bianca Ojukwu. It's something maybe people from the South should think about. And maybe one day I'm going to talk about it, but not yet. But I'll just say it briefly. She mentioned stakeholders. She kept saying stakeholders. I read that stuff and I thought about it. Not once did she mention the word leader or leaders. You may want to start from there. I won't say anything more than that. Let's bring people up on TikTok. Eleni and Ade Komi. Please, you're going to make it very brief so we can close the session and they'll call it today. And I see 7076. Yeah, so please mute. As soon as you get up, please mute. I see folks writing 7076. Yeah, earlier I said 7079, but if you watch the video, we also made that correction. So it's 1776. That's when America had the Declaration of Independence. And the point I was making there is that in 249 years, America has not had up to 8 years of Catholic presidency. I'm going to write something about this on Twitter. You know, a lot of Nigerians, we are not, it is well with us. When we talk about ethnic identity as bigotry and all this rubbish they are saying in the comment section on YouTube, a lot of you are not thinking, all this one that are insulting me. Listen, the idea of ethnic identity is so rooted in this earth, nothing is going to take it away. Someone had written a comment in one of the posts I made on X saying that, oh, our politicians prefer the Anglo-Saxon culture and that's why they're doing what they're doing. And I said, no, they don't even understand Anglo-Saxon culture. Anglo-Saxon culture is deeply ethnocentric. It is so ethnocentric that no matter how long we live in England, you could live there for 1,000 years, doesn't matter. We can never be English. They reserve that right because they guard their ethnic identity so much. They only call us British. They cannot allow us to have their ethnic identity. Is there a problem with that? Absolutely not. It's human nature. All this rubbish about bigotry is people trying to change nature, and they're not doing it because they want something better. They're doing it because they want to steal what belongs to others. They're thieves. Be proud of who you are. I'm Yoruba. The same way an English person will say I'm English, and the Scotsman will say I'm Scot. Doesn't mean they're not British. They're still British. I'm Nigerian. I'm Yoruba. All the nonsense about the tribalization it only exists in the minds of the uneducated. And I don't care if you have a PhD or you're a professor. It doesn't matter. If you think in that terms or in those terms, you are uneducated. You don't understand how life works. And you have been taken over by some fantasy that would never come to pass. That's not how this life works. And even the examples that people give, oh, look at this country, they don't use tribalism, I always ask the question, how come of all the ethnic groups that the president of that country is supporting is the one from his own original ethnicity? If you're Yoruba, don't let anybody gaslight you with all this thing of Oyinbo people don't ethnic identity Jew Oyinbo law. And if you use America as an example, which is what the person was trying to correct me with the 1776, in 249 years, they've not had up to 8 years of Catholic presidency. Why? Because America is the land of white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. Things are changing, but the core is the same. And for those who don't want to believe that, that's fine. It's just how the world works. All right, we have two people. Okay, we have two people up here. Let's have Elenio, and then we'll go to Adekomi. Please go on. 2-3 minutes, and then we'll move to the next person. Thank you.
Prof, good evening, sir. Great
evening, sir.
As always thrilling to hear you. But Prof, a quick one is, now since we know that this our Wuru one Nigeria is not working, why are our politicians not tilting, or why are we not adopting the restructure? Then to even give these guys what they want, then let's have a referendum or something like that, so that we would know that if we truly want to stay together or want to separate. But since we know this union is not working, why are we still forcing it? Or what do you think is the motive? Is it that the politicians are benefiting? We know they are benefiting from it, but is it that they love the failure so much that they don't even care about this thing? Or we just like the fact that we are big, we have a large land mass, but it doesn't amount to anything. So what do you think we can do to have a quick or a rapid restructure system? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I think there's a little mistake in, okay, maybe not a mistake. There's a difference in our perception. Sorry, I have to mute you because of the feedback. Please mute. Thank you. All right. So there is a difference in perception. You're saying the union is not working. I say the structure is not working. If your basis is that the union is not working, then the only thing you want to say is break the union. If the premise is that the structure is not working, then you restructure it. Those who are shouting that the union cannot work, I mean, not just that it's not working, it's not working, it cannot work, they're the ones who want to balkanize. Those who say the structure is not working are the ones who are saying you've got to restructure, or maybe even if that doesn't work, then you balkanize. Now, here's the thing about Yoruba politicians. I think Yoruba people have to be careful not to look at the concept of politics that is being played by, especially by our governors, through the lens of oh, Nigerian politicians. I'll give an example. Yesterday there was a meeting in Ibadan, and all the governors of the southwest states, Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Ondo, Ekiti, the 6 of them met in Ibadan to discuss security challenges. If you really think about it, does the southwest have security challenges right now? No, at least not in the same way that others do. So why are they meeting? Because they understand the fact that prevention is better than cure, and that they have to be ready. We don't have to wait for these things to happen before we do something. So there's proactiveness. We cannot wish that away and say, oh, all these politicians in Nigeria. No, your governors are different. They are not perfect, but they're definitely different. There's no region that thinks that there's no group in Nigeria that thinks more regionally than the Southwest and Yoruba people. And I'm not saying that to say that I'm just saying that we have to also acknowledge what's happening. So what are they doing? For instance, they are working within the structure. Let me put it this way: they are working within what the structure has given to change the structure, which is what I think we can do. Anything apart from that is going to make you just kill people, which is what's happening in the southeast, what's happening in the north. Here is the structure has limitations, right? You want to change it, but the structure allows you to change stuff, but it's very slow. So what do? You find a way around it, e.g. Amotekun. And what did they say yesterday? One of the things they're talking about yesterday now is to push the idea of state policing. Now, everybody will have to come on board because security challenges still are everywhere. But they are pushing that. If that thing sails through, what are you seeing? You are seeing a change in the structure. On Friday, Dawn Commission and Southwest Development Commission had a meeting, like formal agreements that they will be working together. What are you looking at there? That's regionalism. The structure is changing. I've said it several times. The reason we don't think the structure is changing at all is because we expect it to look like what it was before independence. It's not going to happen. Let's not compare it with in days of Awolowo. And by the way, we have nostalgia for a past that never existed. In the days of Awo didn't do those things because it was region. Awo did it because it was federalism. That's not the kind of, as a matter of fact, even the federalism they practiced was not the best that he thought. He didn't think that was the right type of federalism. And let me quickly say this: regionalism is a type, a form of federalism. It's not the ideal. What we had in the 50s and 60s, that's not the ideal. It's just a form. What Papa really wanted was ethno-linguistic states. Not Western region, not states based on geography and wind veins, but states based on ethno-linguistic characteristics. So you have Yoruba state or region, you have Hausa, and you have Ibibio, and you have different people with different states, and you can have as many as possible, but you're all in one country. Now, can we get it now? Yes. Are we going to get it the way Papa would have gotten it then? No. How are we getting it right now? It's right in our face. We see SWDC. That's regionalism. And they're working with Dawn Commission that has spent the last 12 years creating policy framework, the structure for railway, for agriculture, for education, for different things. SWDC is going to be bringing money from federal government, which means all they're going to be doing is plug and play. What am I saying? I'm saying that the structure is changing. The governors in Yoruba land, for instance, okay, whatever happens in the center, they are proactive. They are talking about what needs to change. They're talking about, for instance, now that there's going to be database of people living in our cities and our states across Southwest, because we want to know who is here. So what I'm saying basically is this: the union is not really the problem as it is the structure. And the reason I say this is because, you see, when you break it, you're still going to be in ECOWAS, right? You're still going to be a signatory to the ECOWAS Pact, whatever they call it, that allows for free movement of citizens of ECOWAS. In other words, some of these people will still be here. The difference now is, can you have a structure that allows you to take care of your people and not let anybody gaslight you and call you a bigot over it? And I think that's where we're going with the things that they're doing right now. So when you say it's complex, that's the truth. It's not as easy as just break it. Once we go, we'll become prosperous. once we go, we can become prosperous. But it's not a silver bullet that once you just break Nigeria, everybody will just be fine. It's not true. All these ones that are running into Yoruba land, they will not stop running. After all, they are running to Ghana. And Ghana is not part of Nigeria. People who are running away from home, one thing about fixing their homes, you have to find a way to deal with them even now. So what I'm saying basically is this, I mean, in Lakota and Yarami, in conclusion, the folks representing us, I mean, they can do better, but I think we should also count our blessings, especially looking at what's happening in the Southwest. And there are four main organizations that I think when you look at, it gives you a kind of peace. Again, not perfect, but not bad. Number one is the Southwest Development Commission. Number two is the Dawn Commission. Number three is Southwest Governors Forum. And number four is Odua Investment Limited. Those things give you peace as a Yoruba man. Like there's vision somewhere. Our elders, our leaders have vision, right? We just need to plug in. So we just need to keep talking about the things I want to have change in the Constitution. And I agree with you about the secession clause, but I would never advise Yoruba people to sponsor secession clause in Nigeria Constitution. You know why? The last time we did it, the man who came against it was from the east. Now the people who need it are folks from the southeast. Let them go and push it, and if they push it, they'll get it. The truth is, we are not as desperate about. Please mute now. Please mute now. The truth is, we're not as desperate about breaking up as they are. They are the ones who are desperate, so let them move it. What were we desperate about? We're desperate about security, so we created Amotekun. After we did it, they then went to create Ebubeagu, although it didn't work. ESN now took over everywhere. Nǹkan tó bá dùn yàn ló máa ń pọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ èèyàn. Nǹkan tó dùn àwa jù ń sìn ní ìdàgbàsókè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Nǹkan tó dùn wá jù ni pé ní ìlọsíwájú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Nǹkan tó dùn wá báyìí ń sìn ó ní bí a ṣe máa rí pé ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kẹsẹ̀ járí. Wípé ààbò wà káàkiri gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Nǹkan tó dùn wá jù nísìn nìyẹn. So our leaders are more focused on development, on security, on health, on education, and infrastructure. Those are the primary goals, not break up. Folks whose primary purpose in life is to break up the country, let them push that bill. Whatever comes out of it is fine. If they get what they want, that would be beautiful. But it's not our primary concern at the moment. Not to say it doesn't matter, but it's not the primary concern. So I don't think it's Yoruba people's responsibility. Those who want to break away, they've been disturbing the world that they want to break away. If they really want to break away, think about this. If they really want to break away, they would have sponsored the bill. You said you want to leave the country, yet you are pushing a bill for indigenous status in other people's land after living there for 10 years. Nament, you said you want to leave, but here you are pushing a bill to remain in other people's spaces and become an indigene after living there for 10 years. It means you're not really planning to live anywhere. And whatever they want to do, that's fine by them. When the time comes for Yoruba people to, once that thing becomes priority, there's a way Yoruba people will do it, and it's not like crying all over the place and throwing tantrums like spoiled brats. When that time comes, we will do what we have to do. But right now, our priority is development, is security, is infrastructure development, education and health and things like that. And I'm glad that our governors they can do better. To be clear, I'm not a sycophant. I'm not holding brief for anyone. I think they have a lot to do. We can make Yoruba land even a lot better than what it is right now. But I see everything happening in the right direction. I'm not going to be surprised if in the next 1 or 2 years you see interregional rail taking shape. Why? There's already a blueprint for that. But the money is not coming from the government, from the state government. The money will be coming from the federal government through Southwest Development Commission, which means that the 12 years of planning, of working, that Dawn Commission has invested becomes good for all of us, because only my and Dagwasoke náà lọ sọ pé ẹni tó bá fẹ́ wọlé Yorùbá wọ́n fẹ́ mọ ibi tó ti ń bọ̀. Where is your ID? Where are you coming from? And if we do that and anybody calls us bigots, may God judge them and may they never succeed in Yoruba land. Because there's no way a person will come into another person's space. The person will say, this is how I want to run my place. You are not thinking, you don't have enough brains to think of how to make your own place better, but you're always there to police the owner of the land on how to run your place. You will not make progress in that land. What is your baby? You will cry, your generations will keep crying. That's my prayer for you, because there's no way on earth this thing I'm saying would require you to write that nonsense in the comment section. But since you're writing that nonsense, that will be your portion. Just a bunch of retards. You have a region, you can't even come up with any solution for what's happening in your space. People are talking about their spaces, you are coming and writing nonsense. Are you dumb? No, I'm sorry. I really apologize. You are dumb. All right, we're going to call it a day. No, I really have to go now. It's 6:24. We still have to listen to the anthems before we call it a day. Why people laugh in the comment section? It's true now. I made the mistake asking if the person was dumb. It was my error. There's no way that's a good question. The person is supposed to be a statement of the question. Oriet's daughter. By the way, if you don't understand that, chi, Oriet's daughter means that your head has become like stone. In other words, it's impermeable. You are incorrigible. All right, Adekomi, please let's make it quick and then we can move on.
Oh, network will drop me line coin. Yes. One thing I just want people to understand is this: regionalism is coming back gradually. The restructuring is coming back gradually, and you see, just like Egmont said the other time, he spoke about the union, spoke about the structure. You might not have control in your region, you might not have control over the union, but one way or the other, you can work towards the structure. And for even any president or anybody who will, lead this country, it takes a brilliant politician like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to bring regionalism back, even through the back door. And the regionalism we're expecting it will not be what we had in the First Republic. We have to understand that. And just like I said, you might not have control over the union, but intellectually you can work towards restructuring, and that's what the Yorubas, especially in Western region Nigeria, has been working towards for over 12 years through the Dawn Commission. Yeah. So, and then you see, concerning the there was something you said, I'd even forgotten. I've lost my chain of thought due to the network of a thing, that happened the other time. But we are intellectuals, we are brilliant people in the Yoruba ethnic nationality. Let me say this, concerning Bianca Ojukwu, she said something that this was not what we anticipated, this was not what we prayed for. You see, they are always saying the same thing. Sometimes Nigerians' history can even be recent than tomorrow's news. Why do I say this? If you remember, Egmont, that was the same thing that Zik said. Was it in the First Republic or even before independence, when he wanted to become the leader of business governments in Western region after he won his seat to be a member of the Western Region House of Assembly. So he was saying words like, we thought, we assumed, we thought they were with us, we thought, I don't know if you get. So putting 1 + 1 together scientifically, what are you expecting? What were you expecting as a politician? In the case of Nnamdi Kanu, going with the facts on ground against him, what were the things you were expecting? And you said this was not what we expected. This was not what we prayed for. Obviously, probably, with all due respect, probably they were even expecting something higher. Yeah. So I understand what she meant by this is not what we expected. Probably they were expecting she will be freed. He will be freed. But unfortunately, in fact, if we have to go with the law, and if the law wants to have its place, yes, it should have gotten something higher. It was the magnanimity and the merciful nature of Justice James Omotosho that even gave him the life imprisonment. And I say it anyway, that judgment will stand any appeal. Thank you very much. Ile Yoruba Onidaru, Eshegun Egbon. Very grateful, sir.
Thank you very much, Adekomi. God bless you. I really appreciate your submission. And by the way, I think they said between Monday and Tuesday, so hopefully by now they would have filed their appeal, and that would be, again, that's the beauty of democracy, isn't it? So yeah, let them go to the appeal court, and hopefully they have their day in court, and we'll see what happens then. All right, it's been a fantastic time hanging out with everybody. We've listened to Nnamdi Kanu, Azikiwe, and the clause that changed everything, but we also used the opportunity to listen to a number of other stuff. You can listen to this later on, or you can also watch the video here on YouTube at Busui Oris. Very quickly, Bombo. All right, yeah. So there's the first one we listened to was Nnamdi Kanu's life sentence and the real crisis facing the southeast. We also listened to Nnamdi Kanu, Azikiwe, and the clause that changed everything. And then lastly, why Ojukwu wanted dual citizenship for Biafrans. I really, wish the southeast all the best. I pray that every part of Nigeria is blessed, that there will be peace within our borders, regardless of the part of the country, whether you're from the north, or north east, north central, northwest, southeast, and southwest. May God bless all parts of Nigeria. However, every region has a duty. Our leaders have, and to be honest, the more I think about it, I say it's not everybody that has leaders, but it is well. But people have a duty to make things better in their spaces, and I hope that all this new wave of banditry and attacks and kidnappings in different parts of Nigeria will abate, and there will be peace in our land. And may God give our leaders all the wisdom they require to be able to ballot the affairs of this nation. Amen. Before we go, we're going to listen to our anthems like we always do every day, the Nigerian anthem and also the Yoruba anthem. But again, we're going to be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. We have these sessions every weekday, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. We're going to start a new series tomorrow. Has to do with the evolution of Christianity in Yoruba land. But I'm still thinking about it because something else came up over the weekend. I got a couple of books, and I think Rosha, between now and tomorrow, which one we want to have first. But whichever one we're having, you're going to have a great time. I look forward to having a fantastic session with you tomorrow. Do have a lovely evening. But before we go, please let's have the anthems. And if you please sing along. That's the word. Please sing along. If you don't know the anthems, please learn the lyrics because it's about Nigeria and Yoruba land. God bless Nigeria. Here's the anthem.
At this time, let's get some reactions on the social media.
Sorry, but I said now something as they do social media, the other stuff is still open. Give me a second, please. Okay.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood Iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wá, fún ilẹ̀-èdè wa. Tàgbéga, tàgbéga, tàgbéga fáyé rí. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bá ti bẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́. Ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ni ẹ jẹ́ ká máa lépa. Tẹ̀síwájú fọ̀pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ òǹdílé bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ̀. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ gbogbo adúláwọ̀.
Àwa ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ogun adúláwọ̀, ìmọ́lẹ̀ wọ̀ ní wọ́kùn lágbára Ọlọ́run, lẹ́yìn bó ní bàjẹ́. Ẹlẹ́mọ̀ máa yọrí sí rere ni o. Gbogbo àwọn ìdààmú tó ń wà ládùúgbò àbí tó ń wà láwọn oríṣiríṣi ìpínlẹ̀ káàkiri Nàìjíríà, Ọlọ́run bá pẹ̀tù sí ọkàn àwọn èèyàn burúkú. Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ fún àwọn adarí wa ní ọgbọ́n àti ìmọ̀ àti òye tí wọ́n nílò láti darí gbogbo ètò tó jẹ́ ti ilẹ̀ wa. May God bless us, may God bless the nation, and may God use us also to provide solutions to the problems we have in Nigeria. We prefer leaders that they will do the right thing, and that God will help them to know exactly what to do, who to remove, who to work with, and how to make Nigeria better. May God bless you. Do have a lovely evening. I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Have a great one. God bless you. Odaro, Eshegidigon, Mudukbel. All the people who liked and shared, whether you're on TikTok, on YouTube, or Facebook, thank you very much for your support. Thanks for the gift as well. We're going to talk more about how to support what we're doing. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have a lovely, lovely evening. If you want to reach out to me outside this sessions, please use Telegram. My handle is @Busui Oris. We'll talk there. Enjoy. Good night. Bye-bye.